All right. I am Patrick Durbin, also known as Ninrak or Nar of Nar Unlimited. It's independent studio, so you finally get a break from math educational. Um, it's been a small company with usually approaching $0 budget development of just developer working while doing a part-time job and just trying to go through that as most of the history. Some of the projects we've worked on, just to briefly cover it, is starting with the adventures of Flim, Crystalline Cauldron, Mantis Shuffle, Tinker Time, Summon the Chaos, and now we're starting to go into Elemental Rift. Um, and the current one we're working on is a clash of demigods fighting for omnipotent power. The purpose of Elemental Rift is to address the major concern in the fighting genre of how the top tier and the beginners are really strong proportions of the market, yet there's no segue from the entry level to the advanced level except for brute force, playing over and over, and going through websites and studying terminology, going to forums, researching frame counts, and players not understanding what they're looking for until they're invested in the community. And most players who are going through that process just are not going to push through that barrier, and they're going to go on to not just another game, but an entire genre, and just leave the entire genre behind. So that's the problem that I'm trying to address. I also want to address the stale pattern that the fighting genre has applied of it's just, some will call it button mashing, some will call it lightning reflexes, feints, battle wits, and combo memorizing. Elemental Rift is more focusing on more RPG elements such as element weaknesses and resistance, and ailments such as poisoning, paralyzing, even some new ones such as burdening, which will reduce jumping capability. Why addressing this problem? The longer it takes, the more the future market will be diminished because players have already entered the market, found it wasn't their thing because there was too much of a learning curve, and have already moved on. And as this continues to progress, the market will continue to diminish because players have already had their taste. They went, there's too much learning for me to be good against my friends or other people in the state or country or whatever. And then they just kind of walk on because they had to do too much research, and they were having to do work just to learn a game to even start reaching that fun level. And the sooner it is addressed, the more potential the market is. Some of the top players in the market are in the 8 digits, such as Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, even Brawlhalla from our Blue Mammoth group. I think last time I checked on Steam Spy, it was 4.5 million. Yeah. So there's still a big market, but at the same time, there is room for more growth, such as the MOBA market has a huge market. MMOs like World of Warcraft has hundreds of millions of players. So it's one of those, there is still a lot of players, but there's great room for improvement if we can address this issue of making a transition easier from the beginner players to learn the steps and the terminology to step up to that more advanced state where they can go to the competitive scenes, play with other players, and so forth. Where is Elemental Rift right now? There is a cast of 8 characters, which are the 4 Elemental sisters and 4 Elemental brothers. These sisters were from our previous project, Mana Shuffle, and they were really loved characters, so that is kind of where this all started. The brothers were to help kind of complement the family and bring in the demigod into a more family issue or family conflict. I've brought in 2 unique characters for the universe and have spoken with other indie developers and gotten 6 guest fighters that are from other indie developer games. And we are working through those to make sure that we have smooth transition. Our 5th fighter, Crispy B, is from Snout Up Games, and that will be our first reveal of a guest fighter. The story will have 3 branching story paths so that you can hear the sisters' side of the conflict, the brother side of the conflict, and then all of the guest fighters will have their own story path. There will be 10 stages, each with their own arena mode and battlefield mode for the players who want the big, expansive stages, and for those who want the condensed, pure battlefield where it's just a simple platform and nothing else going on. There will be 256 figurines to collect because some players love the challenge of collecting all of them. I do not have them here right now, but I will have them on display in the Indie Cluster booth. I'll be getting that during the lunch break. There are 24 helpers to summon. They appear on the battlefield, perform a quick action, and then disappear. This will mostly be filled by other more prominent figures. So far, we have 3 Twitch streamers who are already involved that have already been inputted into the game, and there's several more I have lined up. And there will be 32 items in combat by the end, and to help add more variety to the battlefield. And I'll see if I can get this to play. All right, and this is just from MomoCon 2016. We're already getting lineup booth, even with great competitors like Brawlhalla. There was a Smash Bros. Tournament, and I was still keeping a consistent crowd, so there is already interest, even though I would say it's only in the alpha state. Keeping consistent crowd even at bigger conventions and shows, so there is still interest, and it is building, and just wanted to show that briefly. I will be available in the Indie Cluster. It is up to 4 players, and you can experience it all firsthand. How will Elemental Rift generate money? Sales of the game is going to be the primary method. I've already started looking into merchandise and have a few samples up here, such as the t-shirts. They're front and back. We got figurines, which I had mentioned. I'll have them on display in the booth. I've gotten a contract worked out with someone who is willing to do a $25 for the first one, and then $10 for each additional one, and then selling them at $20 for a profit after the third one. Promotional buttons, as you can see up here, is just some of the buttons that we have. Developing bookmarks, it's able to make about 100 of them for $12, including ink and paper, and then selling them through $1 each. That was our biggest seller for MomoCon 2014. I was able to generate a profit that weekend just from selling the bookmarks. The original soundtrack can sell for about $15, including all the tracks for the game. As well as at last weekend at AWA, I was talking to the Overclock Remix group, and I have already worked out an agreement where I can set up a remix album to launch in sync with the launch window to help promote the product with the entire Overclock Remix community and sell it for $20, generating profit as well as awareness and attachment for some of the community's favorite composers. Some of the supporters we already have. Continue is a partner streamer on Twitch. Her average Sunday fun day has a concurrent that varies throughout the day of an 8-hour stream of 140 to 220. Tiny Pixels has already set up a few grudges against a few other players. I also got Animated Break, Gamer Under Development, Flaming Monocle, Luna Spectrum, and here's just some of the numbers. I am also in discussion with iCasper, Little C HUD, Yoshi, who just recently won the PJ Sultan of TwitchCon last weekend, and he's going to have his own email, which will also help boost not only his awareness, but those he's supporting. Kitch 22, Daniel the Demon, and Feed Me Pixels.
Sorry, I think we have to leave some time for Q&A as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So we have an opportunity to ask Patrick some questions here.
All right. So,
What's your team size? Just you?
currently, just myself.
Okay.
Mhm.
Your tie-ins with things, you're sort of building bridges between other people, and
Yep.
Twitch tie-in could be huge for this kind of thing. You need an artist.
Yes, it was going to be one of my stretch goals for going above the necessary amount because I'm looking for funding so I can push this more full time to reach a more promising deadline because in the game industry, the longer you take, the more further behind you are. But if I go above my necessary amount, that is one of my next priorities is getting a more dedicated artist. And I saw your hand next, and then you.
How are you utilizing the Twitch streamers?
For some of them, I've already worked them into the game, which has been a big help for easily getting them to want to be a part of the game and just promote it. But another thing is just being a part of their community, even just simply being in their chat and their stream while I'm working on the side. Hasn't really been affecting my progress too much, but just actually being a part of their community and being a regular. And it's just been a developing process that I've been working on over the years, so it's not like it happened over the past few months. Yeah.
You mentioned $60,000 on one page,
Yeah.
and it looked like you had your roadmap kind of laid out in terms of how many characters and figurines are going to be out there.
Mhm.
How far does that 60,000 take you towards that goal?
I know when I was writing that, was looking at being near close to the end, but actually looking through the time investment and assessing for prevention from burnout and other issues like that, focusing on a 40 to 50 hour work week, I decided that it would be much more efficient to guarantee towards an early access build with 6 of the family members done, 4 of the guest characters, and I would say 7 stages done so that I'm mostly done going into early access, have a strong presence there, and build from that point, as well as generate a little bit of revenue to make it towards that last stretch. And I think that that would be a more effective and exact use of how that 60,000 would work out instead of saying that it will reach the deadline because sometimes during development it'll take longer than expected.
So if it's not 60 to get to the full cast, what would it be?
I think I could possibly squeeze it, but it's more of I don't want to guarantee that with that much money on the yeah.
I get it. So if it's not 60, is it 100? Is it 150? Is it
I would say between 80 and 100, honestly speaking, just to be more of. I can't quite guarantee 60, but before 100, I think I could certainly make. Yes. I was going to do green light after Siege. I wanted to focus on this presentation, but afterwards, that was my next, probably starting on that, going through that process next week.
Follow-up question to that then is, do you have any forums of your own, any community of your own?
I do have an Indiegogo investor exclusive forum that I have worked on when I did Indiegogo campaign last year when I was just starting off, and it generated about 3,000, which was not enough for development, but enough to say that there is interest for a product that is still in early alpha at that point. Any other questions?
So if I heard you, and this is kind of a stupid question, but if I heard you correctly, the main reason you need the 60,000 is for you to do the development, and that's going to provide your, basically your salary or your resources for 40 to 50 hours a week.
Uh,
Beyond that,
I would say about 50,000 of it will be going towards development, and the other 10,000 will be going towards conventions, trade shows to further push the awareness and to help build a brand so that when I go into early access, there will be a larger ripple and generate more revenue, and more people will be having a word of mouth from the experience. So it won't all just be salary, but a large portion of it will.
And will the pixelization, I think that's what you call it,
Mhm.
be improved?
If I were to generate enough to afford an artist, yes. But at the same time, if I need to cut back and if I don't gain enough, then it's one of those I don't have to in order to go towards launch. But at the same time, I would like to pursue that if the finances are available.